in the supply chains, and I'll just be very specific about a few things like fertilizer manufacturing, it's down to like 2 major players. Herbicide manufacturing, 2 or 3 major players. Why is that significant? So last year, to my knowledge, is the first time that there was ever an inverse relationship between the price of corn and the price of nitrogen. So corn is the big dog on the planet with respect to agriculture. Corn, wheat, and soy are the big 3 that, because of the volume and the gross dollars, they're the dog and everything else is kind of the tail of agriculture, right?
Okay.
So typically what has happened in my 40 years of agriculture is that when corn prices are down, then typically corn production is down, and corn then becomes the cheapest source of protein available to, say, like a dairy cow, which then puts downward pressure on like an alfalfa bale. But the reward we always got is that the price of nitrogen would go down, correlating with that due to competition.
Okay.
Last year, and this was told to me by one of my major suppliers, so I feel like it's fairly accurate information. I said, why is nitrogen moving up by 25% this year? I said, agricultural commodities across the board right now are all doing quite poorly as a generalization. And I said, in corn in particular, the main driver is in the tank. And he said, well, they decided to make less UN-32, which is a liquid formulation of fertilizer that corn growers like. And he goes, forced them over to urea. And then, therefore, with less material in the market, price goes up. And because there's no competitors are going to step in and go, oh, wow, Leo wants to offer a 9% mortgage, I'm stepping in, right?
Right.
But if there was nobody else offering mortgages,
you'd take a 9%
you're going to take a 9% mortgage. You want that house. You're going to get in the air,
Yeah.
especially when nutrition and agriculture are not negotiable terms, right?
Right.
In the absence of nutrition, you don't have an agricultural program. So it's something you're going to buy almost regardless of price. And so we're seeing this happening between equipment manufacturers, herbicide manufacturing, fertilizer manufacturing, all the major inputs. There's been this massive consolidation of one option in 5 states, one option in the Western United States, 2 options in the United States, very large scale consolidation.
I could be wrong, but I think I've heard the same thing about, and I could be wrong, about farm equipment.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard the same thing,
Yeah.
to where it's like now you've got this or this, and the prices of the farm equipment is wildly higher and higher, right? So as I'm sitting here listening to you, you said in high school, people, oh, you're going to be a farmer. Man, there's so much more business in farming than the farming.
Yeah.
Like you probably have this drive to get up and work the land every day, but you've got to know how to deal with the equipment, how to deal with the money side, there's so many different things. Yeah, how could you get bored?
Yeah, you can't. And you're right. It's interesting when I spend time talking about people about decisions made on a farming operation like ours on a daily basis. Most people are totally surprised. They're like, we just thought you guys got up and worked
And farmed.
and just farmed.
Yeah.
And somehow farming has never really been thought of. And I'm not saying that every farm operates the way our farm does. Our farm is very tech heavy, very based on information driven, data driven decision making, right? So we've got wireless water monitoring systems that are constantly sending data to a centralized location, telling us when to water, how much to water, where to water. We have soil experts. We have plant pathologists that are constantly looking at plants and diseases and problems. I mean, there's so many specialties that are coming in. My job is simply to surround myself around brilliant people, right? I tell people most of the time, I say, if you really knew me, you wouldn't be that impressed. They look at what I do or what I represent or what I get credit for.
Yeah.
They're like, how do you know and manage all these moving pieces?
Maintaining all those relationships and picking those people takes a talent.
Yeah.
So you can take credit for that. Right?
I will definitely take credit
for that.
For realizing that.
Well, it's an important thing. I've found that I've worked at a couple different mortgage companies in the industry, and who you work for and who you work with and your team is probably the number one most important thing to be successful in anything that you do. And it takes some emotional intelligence to figure out who the right people are.
Yes.
Right? So that you can do business the way you want to do it and well.
Yeah.
So that was one of the questions I was going to ask you is like, what do you think the most common misconception is about farmers? And like you laid it out for me, basically. There's a lot more that's going into what you do every day. So being that we're the hub of a North State area where sometimes I think we forget, I hope it's surprising to people that like 8 million pounds of garlic come out of 2 hours away from here. I hope that's surprising. But as the hub, what ways could we be supportive of farmers, in our area?
Well, I don't know if this is specific to farmers, but some of the other folks that I network with in this area and that I have such great admiration and respect for. I'm part of a business organization down here called Vistage.
Okay.
And some of the members in Vistage that really stand out, one, because he's been on your podcast, so Josh Barker's in our group.
Okay.
And listening, because like I said, you can have the same misconception about a realtor as you can about a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
You go, don't you guys just sell stuff?
Houses? Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Josh doesn't just sell stuff.
No.
That's not what they're about, right?
Yeah.
They are the most organized, planned, strategic.
Mm-hmm.
It's so impressive, right? I literally just like to hang out with him for a week and just literally follow him around and understand his procedures and processes.
He's very disciplined. He's very
incredibly disciplined, right?
Yeah.
Another person in our group is Kimberly Johnson.
Okay.
And so I think about what I do is so
her.
cool, right?
Yeah. Oh, what she
And then I listen to what she does and what her organization's about. And I go, I have no problems, for starters,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't have real challenges, right? And so I'm very blessed to have relationships with people like Kimberly and people like Josh or Steve Roberts, or I'll reference a new friend. And a new friend to me is somebody that's only been a friend for less than 10 years.
Okay.
Because most of my relationships are
Much
from
older.
birth, right?
Yeah.
Todd Franklin.
Oh, I love Todd.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
quick story with Todd. He was a basketball coach. I was a basketball coach. I was very unsuccessful at beating him, right, when he was at Liberty Christian. Right?
Okay.
And I was convinced, and I've told him this to his face, I was convinced he was cheating because of the different rules that Christian schools have with respect to athletes that public schools don't.
Oh.
Todd was simply playing by the rules, right?
Okay.
And I was angry, number one, because I couldn't beat him, right?
Yeah.
And so my excuse therefore was he must be a cheater, right?
Yeah.
And so after he and I both had stopped, well, he was still coaching at Simpson when we made our first connection. And a fellow coach was telling me his rendition of Todd. And I'm like, this doesn't add up to who I think, I'm pretty sure who I think is this cheater that I can't beat, that I can't stand.
I love it.
Right? And he goes, no, you really need to meet him. And I really trust and respect Kevin Wilkerson, who introduced me. And I told Todd right up bat, I said, man, I've never liked you. I'm a big believer in clear as kind, right?
Yeah.
It's not an attitude. It's nothing.
Yep.
It's just like, here, like me, love me, hate me, whatever. I just try and be transparent. And I told him, I said, man, I've never really liked you, but I said, my friend Kevin here thinks you're a pretty special dude. And he is a very authentic person. And so fast forwarding, he's one of the kindest, most generous, he inspires me to figure out how to up my game on being community-minded and a servant, right? And taking credit for absolutely nothing. And I don't know how our relationship has grown so rapidly in such a relatively short period of time. That, matter of fact, in April, Michelle and I are going down to Panama.
That's so funny. I've been thinking about doing that.
Yeah, we're going down the 16th of April
Are you?
to hang out with Todd for a week.
Okay.
And his kids have, we've been engaging with his wife and his kids. And
I think there's just kindred
messing with the
spirits
park.
sometimes. Sometimes those relationships that are just, that was me and Megan Daly. Just
Yes.
like, we're best friends. That's it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the funny part about me and Todd was I was pretty sure we were mortal enemies.
He was a bad guy.
Yeah.
What made you realize he wasn't a bad guy? Just talking to him?
Kevin invited me to
know,
meet him at the Foothill Gym.
That is why relationship, and
Yes.
you had equity in relationship with somebody else who
Yes.
told you, no, hold on, stop, ask questions. This is a good person.
Yeah.
And we need more of that in our world.
Yes. Yeah. And
Right?
thankfully, I was just willing to listen because I was like, I don't really want to go to Foothill Gym, and I don't really want to sit with a guy that I'm pretty confident I don't like. Right? I'd already made up my mind without hardly any facts. The funny thing, Todd's response is, he's like, yeah, but you won the last time we played together.
Oh, he remembered that instead of all the other times.
We're competitors, we're coaches.
Yeah, it's the way it works.
And it's just the way it works. But
Yeah.
I can tell you I'm so blessed to have developed a relationship. And basically the reason I keep telling these stories is because our communities are interconnected.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Redding is our hub
Yeah.
for where we're at, right? When we need
Yep.
supplies, we need services, but more than supplies and services, this is my personal hub for connecting with
Yeah.
mentorship and relationships.
Yeah.